Oh, I should ask her. Oops. Oh. Just wait for Janette to join. Oh, there she is. Technology. All
Yay,
right.
back again.
We are back, round two. Okay,
Yeah,
so you sent and just casually mentioned in a message to me recently that Julie Graham, who used to work at Retina, which is a
right.
syndication agency for anyone who doesn't know, um, found a box of your archives from the 90s in the basement. Like, were they original? Was it original film, or tell me what that was about?
It it was crazy because I'd obviously moved from London and I was here shooting hip hop like crazy, making new work. I was like really just obsessed and doing portraits of all the hip hop artists. And I guess I just put all my punk stuff. I brought all my negs with me,
Yeah.
and they were just in a box in the basement of the building I live in. And I just honestly, I wasn't thinking about punk whatsoever. I mean, I
Yeah.
wasn't thinking about anything I'd shot. So I guess somebody had told me about Retina, and I thought, well, it'd be good to be syndicated by somebody, make some extra money.
Yeah.
And I met Julie and we immediately got along. She's like an amazing person. And she's like, well, where's all your stuff that you shot back in the day? And I was like, oh, it's in a box in the basement. So she came over to my house and I dragged this box out. It's covered in dust.
Oh
And she
man.
starts pulling out things going, do you realize you have a picture of the Clash on stage with Jimmy Percy and Steve Jones? I was like, I guess I kind of forgot about that. I mean, when you've been shooting for a long time, you kind of forget.
Oh yeah.
Basically, Julie just took charge of all my archive, started scanning it, and that in syndicating it. And then I started giving her all the shoots that I was doing, all the hip hop stuff. And it's been amazing. And we're besties right now. We're really good friends. And just segueing quickly into right now, we're doing a benefit for God's Love We Deliver that
Mm-hmm.
provide food for hungry New Yorkers, specifically a lot of people who are homebound and need help. And we actually reached out to now 50 of our amazing, including you, Angela, photo
Yay.
friends to donate a photo. And we're making editions of 10 of each. And if you donate $150 to God's Love on Tuesday, it
Oh
goes
wow.
live on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time.
Yeah.
You get to choose a photo. And we have gotten like the greatest people. I mean, your Nicki Minaj picture, it's just spectacular. I mean, it's just such an incredible picture. But we've got Prince, Bruce Springsteen, Cardi
Whoa.
B, Jay-Z. And it just goes on. I put in a couple of pictures. I put a Paul Weller and a Andre 3000, but the list is amazing, and you should go to a curator. It's like a small A cap C curator. And Tuesday at 10 a.m. we're going to go live, and if you donate, you'll be able to get a picture. We got actually a beautiful picture from Timothy White of Aretha Franklin. It's
Oh
fabulous. I mean,
wow.
Danny Clinch gave us Bruce. We've got John
Amazing.
Lennon. We've got Paul McCartney. We've got Freddie Mercury. We've got, I mean, and a lot of hip hop, of course, from all
Yeah.
our really fabulous hip hop friends. We're kind of like a big hip hop family now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Shout out to Vicky Toback.
Oh yeah. I
Big
wouldn't
shout
have
out.
met you had without Vicky for sure.
No, I
Yeah.
mean, Vicky's an amazing person, and Contact High is a great book for those of you that don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, it's been a really great experience.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
agree. It's a great little community, and I love that. I love the Contact High events because it kind of inspired in some way, in some small way, the my little photo nerd out chats because I love to talk about photography in a nerdy way. But I mean, how many people, you know, you just talk about that with photographers. You can't talk about that with people at a cafe or bodega or wherever you're
No,
going, you know?
no.
So, and then my boyfriend started taking pictures,
Oh,
and it
cool.
reminded me, like film photos, and it reminded me like what it was like to start. I'd forgotten everything I'd
So
learned.
good,
So
right?
I realized like younger people that started with digital, they might want to know what it was like shooting film when there was no digital, what the process was like, you know?
Well, I
So
think the main thing that we always talk about when you were shooting film was every shot had a price, and if you didn't have money, which none of us probably did starting off, you know, every roll of film costs $5. Then you, if you didn't develop it yourself, you'd have to get it developed. Then you'd have
yep.
to go to a darkroom and make a print, you know, and your little, so you couldn't just snap away like you do with digital and take 100 shots. It actually was, I think, amazing for us for our, you know, for our editing in camera process. Like you had to be a lot more selective.
Yeah.
And, you know, to this day, I don't shoot hundreds of photos if I don't need to. You know,
Right.
I can get away and shoot, you know, maybe 30. It's funny. So it's really, I think it's a great thing if you can to use film
Yeah.
because you're a lot more selective. And
Do you have any horror stories about when you were first shooting film? Did you anything where like, you know, okay, so for example, one time I did a photo shoot and I was so nervous to take the pictures. It's New York, just so everybody knows, there's sirens.
oh yeah, New York, everybody.
Yeah. I was so nervous to take the picture, I only shot one roll. And when I got back home, I realized that the roll hadn't loaded properly.
Yep,
Yeah. So
yep.
do you have any like hard lessons that you learned while shooting film, maybe developing it improperly or something like that?
Oh God, so many. You know, you'd go. I mean, that's the frightening thing because you would have to load it in the dark onto these little spools, and if you didn't load it correctly,
Yep.
sometimes you'd get these like weird streaks, or you
Yep.
know, the top bit of it would be missing, or I mean, so many things. And when you start shooting color film, which obviously I never developed that, you know, sometimes the lab. I did some shoot for a hair magazine, and it was all about people having their hair dyed and cut in these crazy styles. And the whole shoot, the lab messed up
Oh,
the whole shoot and everything. And the art director was super mad at me. And I'm like, but it was the photo lab. It's scary.
what, how did they mess it up?
It just, I don't know, it ran through the wrong chemistry or
Oh
something.
my gosh.
You know, they had their excuses, but you know,
Yeah.
that was my photo lab that I used. And I don't know, anything could happen.
Yeah.
Anything could happen. And you're right. Sometimes when you load film, you have to make sure that the sprockets are connected. And even if you waste a couple of frames making sure that it's pulling through properly while the back is open, I feel like it's advisable because
Yeah.
that can happen at any moment.
Oh yeah. I have a sixth sense for that now. Like I do listen to it. I can tell the sound when the film is going through and like it took what years, decades, but
Right, you
and
put the camera up to your ear and
yeah.
see if you could feel it winding on. That's
Yeah.
absolutely right. But I mean, that being said, I actually was in Dubai with Vicky, and I was taking a bunch of shots just in December, and for some reason, my digital camera, I had not put the card back in when I downloaded it. So
Oh,
I'd be wandering around all day taking these photos, and there wasn't anything there. So that can happen. I mean, you have to be careful. Photography is tricky.
yeah. I mean, a digital card is like a little bigger than a quarter, right?
Right.
So they're so easy to lose. I've lost multiple cards
Oh,
before and
yeah. Or they
found
can
them
get
again. And
corrupted. Or, I
yeah.
mean, the whole thing is incredibly nerve-wracking. But let's face it, it's all part of the process, and we love it, you know.
Yeah, yeah, it is very nerve-wracking though.
And,
Did you ever I want to talk about your Salt and Peppa photos and your Ladies of Hip Hop photos because those were are very prominent in Contact High.
right.
But real quick, I want to ask you, did you ever get nervous before photo shoots? Were you ever nervous to photograph people?
Um, I think I would be more nervous about, you know, if it was some big celebrity and, you know, we making sure we had all the kit. And I'm not really nervous around people for some reason. I
Mm-hmm.
don't, you know, I'm pretty friendly and chatty. So, and,
Yeah.
you know, I photographed, politicians. Like I photographed Madeleine Albright and,
Wow.
at the United Nations, I photographed Martina Navratilova and all,
Wow.
you don't see those things that much of mine. So I guess, yeah, I'm not really a nervous person. I try not to be. I wouldn't
That's
say I'm nervous to go do a shoot. No. I mean, I'm
that's
nervous that it might not work out or there's constraints and, maybe they're not good, that
right.
kind of thing that you can't actually control.
Right.
But, not so much.
I interviewed a punk photographer from LA named Allison Braun. She did a lot of live photography
Right.
back in the late 70s and early to mid 80s. And I asked her the same question, and she said, she's like, no, I was never nervous. I just did what I wanted. And your answer and her answer kind of blow my mind because I'm nervous about everything. Like,
Are you?
oh
Oh,
yeah.
wow. You
And I
don't seem
sit
like a nervous person. That's funny.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
that for sure. When I first started out, I would sketch, like the night before the shoot, I would sketch like different compositions, how I was
Oh,
thinking about approaching
wow.
the shoot, and I would go like you said ahead of time and location scout, and I would assign my little sketches to each location. And nowadays I can do it on the fly. It's not a problem, but I wanted to have everything as planned as possible because photography is all about variables, like you want to eliminate as many variables as possible
It
so you can get the
is.
shot.
Yeah, I know.
But
I mean, I don't necessarily, I don't really make a plan, and I'm a kind of I guess my photography is really about my relationship with the person, and I have to meet,
mhm.
the subject. Well, it is. So that's my main thing. I want us to get along, and I want them to be happy, and I want, me to be happy. And I have to say, as far as digital, it's kind of great when you're doing a studio shoot and you can show somebody the shot and go, do you like the lighting? Does this look good? Or you're out in the street and you can show them in the back of the camera what you're shooting, and you can gain their confidence like that really
Yeah,
easily.
that's
And
true.
and the thing, it's really all about how you treat people. And,
Hmm.
I talk about this a lot with Jamel Shabazz, who's a mate, and, about showing respect to people when you're
Yeah,
with them. Treat them. Don't, it's not like you're the big photographer. You're just you're asking them a favor in a way. So,
right.
you have to gain people's trust. I think that's the most important thing. But that being said, I'm not really a techie person, so that takes away a lot of the nervousness.
Yeah, that's good. I'm impressed. Tell us about your Salt and Pepper shoot. Who were you shooting that for, and how did that come about?
Well, actually, I'd shot Salt and Pepper in, I think it was 1986,
Yeah.
and they didn't even have a record out then.
Wow.
And it was for a British magazine. The Brits, as I say, they're always ahead. They're like, oh, there's this group, blah, blah, blah. So they came around my house. I was living on Avenue B in the Lower East Side at the time.
Nice.
And yeah, and it was like it was sketchy there, but it was
Yeah.
great. And so we just spent the afternoon walking around. It was a hot summer's day, and we're laughing and giggling and hanging out and drinking sodas and whatever. And they're like, "Oh, you seem cool. Could you do our record cover for us?" So I was like, "Sure." I mean, money never really came into it. As I knew I would get paid something, but it wasn't like I was going to get thousands of dollars. We knew that. There was a small little group on a tiny label. So basically, I shot their first album cover, and then this shoot came up, the famous,
Yeah.
shoot. And by that time, I had a studio, and they came to the studio. I'd been working for their record label and also doing other shoots of Herbie, their managers, other bands. So they totally trusted me. And it was just such a great day. I remember distinctly, I had my white seamless set up,
Yeah.
not like, I had my lighting, everything was ready. And they walk in and they're wearing those jackets. And I'm like, wow. I was so amazed. They
N-
looked so amazing.
no stylist. They just came. That's what they walked in with,
They
basically.
walked in like that with the
Yeah.
boots, the spandex, and it was so colorful, the country cloth hats. That I knew they'd have the hoops and the chains. That was, of course they'd have the hoops and chains. But those jackets were just incredible. So we had a hair and makeup person, this guy called Byron Barnes, who was an amazing guy. and they knew him, they'd worked with him before, and he did like a beautiful job. And we just got down to it and took all these photos, had fun as always, playing
Yeah.
music as always.
Yeah.
And it's really only in I don't know, the past 4 years when I actually got to meet Dapper Dan that I realized that he had made those jackets.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So yeah, and we're still, I'm still talking to Salt and Pepper, and they've got a line of makeup out now, and I believe that they're using those very photos
Oh, that's
now.
so cool.
So I took those in '87. How many years is that? That's a lot of years. 20
Yeah,
years.
it's a handful. Yeah.
It's a handful of years, and they're still using my pictures, which, that makes me very, very happy. They pay me to use them. It's a win-win situation. It's fabulous.
It's so crazy because yeah, again, going back to you were just there to take the jobs that the bigger photographers didn't want to take. And in fact, like
Totally.
me photographing Nicki Minaj was the exact same situation. It
Ugh,
wasn't that nobody wanted to photograph her. She was brand new.
right.
It might have been the first magazine feature she had. So, for any younger photographers that might be listening, like just take those jobs. I don't know that any photographers really wait around for better work. I don't know that you can afford to do that, but you know, the people that you're photographing that are small now, they grow, their careers grow. I have
That's the thing.
it's crazy. And it seems like almost everyone you photographed bloomed into a huge star. It's so crazy,
A
like,
lot of them did, luckily for me. I mean, it's pretty wild.
and then you were also able to capture so much underground, like just, subculture almost, stuff that was so important to so many people culturally at the same time as
Right.
shooting covers of records for the police, So um, it's pretty mind blowing. Like when I was younger, and I don't remember when I came across the Stetsasonic album cover, and I've told you
Oh,
this
wow.
before, but it came across it at some point when I was still learning, about composition. And you had photographed them from kind of below and they're all leaning into the frame.
Right.
And I
I'm
just remember
looking for it.
staring at that, and I loved Stetsasonic. And I
Oh,
remember staring at that
awesome.
picture and trying to figure out, like, I
Just
mean,
so
yes,
happens. There
yeah,
you go.
it's like, yeah, it's perfect. Like the way the building and the blue and their outfits and the way it's framed. And I just remember staring at that picture. And again, I was still new to composition. So I was like, how would you do that? Like you forget now because you know so much about photography. But when you're younger and you're trying to figure out like different ways to place multiple people in a frame.
Right.
Yeah, that one was a big deal for me.
Well, it's
And I remember
always
finding out it was taken by a woman too, and was like, oh, damn, that's so badass. Like, that made it even better.
and commissioned by a woman,
Oh,
Monica
really?
Lynch.
Oh,
Yes, she
cool.
was owner of Tommy Boy, well, co-owner of Tommy Boy. So, and we're friends to this day. Monica is like the coolest person, and shout out to Monica. And she's actually doing photography now. She's taking a lot of cool pictures.
Oh,
But
that,
yeah, I mean, it's always hard when you have a group picture
oh,
because you're looking like you've got to get everybody in focus.
yeah,
They have to get close. They never want to get that close. They've got to cluster up, and this is challenging because you've got black skin,
yeah,
white
yeah,
outfits, white sneakers, and it's very hard to get a good shot like that. I mean, you have to know a little bit about lighting and what's going to work. And that's film. We didn't know. You don't really know till you
yep.
get back if it's going to look as good as it does. Yeah, I know. I love Stetsasonic. They're really great. I mean, so many of those bands are huge now still. When you think about, I mean, you and I both photographed a lot of hip hop.
Right.
And when you think about where hip hop has gone, it's bigger than rock. It's
Oh,
probably the
yeah,
biggest music genre
yeah,
ever, I would say right now.
yeah. It's
And
replaced rock.
yeah, exactly. And you go around the world, they're breakdancing in Palestine, rapping in Paris, it's a round the world thing, which it's a phenomena. It's really incredible.
Right.
And, I feel like I was so honored to be at the birth of it all. I was very lucky.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously I didn't have a choice of when I was born, but it's for me being a little bit younger, just kind of looking at your body of work is just it's really mind blowing and thinking like, how could she possibly have been in all these places? It's really Yeah, but it's, you know, photographers are travelers. They are people that are curious. You
Yeah,
like to go and see things, you know, like I've done a lot of traveling. It's photography's brought me all over the world. So I understand the logic behind it, but
right. I mean,
you
you
know,
get it.
yeah, the
Totally.
time and place thing is really kind of incredible for
I
sure.
know. I mean, I was obsessed with this East LA gang. This is a little
Yeah,
book I did
yeah.
in 1983, and it was just through reading a magazine article, and there were no photos, and I was like, I want to meet these people. I spent one whole summer hanging out with them, and we're just going to republish this book. It should be out in August. It was, you know,
Awesome.
Dashwood is publishing it,
Awesome.
and you know, I connected back with these people, like literally when this came out,
Yep.
2011. And, you know, I'm friends with some of the girls from there. And it's amazing. You just need, what you need is passion and curiosity, I think.
Yeah.
And, and to be fearless, probably. You know that.
Well, I think there's a process involved with contacting people from communities that are different than yours too. Like, how
Right.
did you get in contact with the communities in East LA? How did you start photographing them?
I read this article, I think it was in the LA Weekly, and I don't remember who the writer was, but it was about this particular gang. It's called the Hoyo Maravilla gang.
Hmm.
And I contacted the writer. I found the writer. I tracked him down, and I was like, I really want to meet these people. They sound so amazing. And there were no photos. So he took me there. He said, I'll take you up there. He took me there. And there was this dusty park in East LA, and they all hang out. That was their park. And,
Yeah.
you know, basically I just talked to them. And actually, in that case, I had a box of my punk photos, like 8 by
Oh,
10s.
wow.
And I was like, this is the gangs from England. I'm British. This is the gangs from England. I want to come and photograph you and bring them back to the UK and show them what you guys are doing. And that seemed to work. And I spent a whole summer just going back and forth, you know, taking pictures of them. I would just turn up and see who came to the park. And
Yeah.
everybody was, they were just so nice and welcoming. And, you know, they'd take me to their grandma's house. And,
Oh, awesome.
you know, one time we nearly got arrested because they were doing graffiti and the cops came and we had to hide in the grandma's closet in the back
Yeah.
of the kitchen. I mean, you know, it was kind of great. And I don't know, it just seemed like I was obsessed. It was an obsession and I had to keep doing it. And then, what was I going to say?
How are they doing? You said you recently reconnected with
Yeah, I've got
some
to,
people.
yeah. Well, the crazy thing was that I didn't know until I reconnected with these women, and you see
Yeah.
those guys right there in 2011, and we met at the Homegirl Cafe,
Yeah.
and
Oh, okay. Yeah.
we had a big old chat. And one of them works for the Homegirl Cafe, Homegirl Rehabilitation. One of them works in human resources now, and one of them works at the DA's office. So they've all done really well. And they told me that 90% of the guys that I photographed were either dead or in jail. And apparently, when I was there was this huge turf war going on, but with another gang. And I didn't even know people were being shot on I guess on a daily basis. I had no idea. I was just there, kind of oblivious to the whole thing.
Yeah.
And, I think it's just a thing of gaining people's trust. I actually photographed a gang in Harlem. They're dirt bike riders. They're called the Go Hard Boys,
Uh-huh.
and they don't let anyone photograph them. And about 5 years ago, I went up there. Someone gave me the name of somebody, and I met this guy. He's the CEO of the gang, and I brought my hip hop book. And I'm sitting on the stoop in Harlem with him, and we're chatting. And I'm like, "Look, I did this book, and I really want to take pictures of you. I work for this British magazine." And the hip hop thing made this connection, and now they're like, we don't let anybody else photograph us. It's me. So,
Wow.
so they need a picture. I just do it. I mean, it's not, for free. I share everything I shoot with them.
What drives you to want to photograph communities that are, under the radar, so to speak, subcultures? Like, I feel like it there must be like a really strong passion and a really strong vision that you have to want to document people that maybe, especially when you were photographing them, were not everybody's first choice. You know, things are, you know, times have changed, and you know, people are photographing different things now. But you know, what is that drive?
I just think I've always been obsessed with, you know, rebels, people who are
Hmm.
doing things, you know, in their own way, following their passions, you know, walking their own walk. It's just
Right.
always been an obsession for me. And I'm always looking for, you know, the next thing. So, you know, people tell me, oh, go check out these guys, they're doing this, and I'll
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
I don't know what it is. It's just a thing. I think it's maybe my punk sensibility. You know, you just
yeah.
people who are doing things for themselves that, you know, they just they have passion. And you know, I photographed a lot of artists as well over the
Yeah,
years, and that interests me too.
yeah,
I think that's what it is. It's just an obsession for these kind of rebel cultures in a way.
right, right. And finding like-minded people, you know?
Totally. Yeah, and they're always amazed. Like, you took all these pictures, especially when you show people these days the hip hop, they look at me like, are you crazy?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
sure you took these? And I'm like, yeah. But, you know, I did that, the Mashup Book with Say Adams. You know,
Yeah.
he got
That's
asked, yeah. And he asked all his graffiti friends to draw all over my pictures. And that was like an amazing project. And
yeah.
by the way, I see Nick Fahey. I got signed up to the Fahey Klein Gallery in LA, and he produced this fabulous book for us. And we had a show, and you know, I really a lot of respect for him for, you know, taking a big chance on something like that, because nobody's really done that before. And they're
Yeah.
really beautiful pieces. And I was very attracted to, you know, graffiti artists. They've always, you know, followed their own path. They're off painting
Absolutely.
walls in crazy places. And a lot of the people, I did portraits of all the artists, and then they drew all over my photos. And it's an amazing book. You can still get it on Amazon, I think, or from the Fahey Klein Gallery. And I think I was attracted to that culture as well for the same reasons, you know?
Oh yeah, graffiti writers are definitely not really known to obey all the rules. That's for
No,
sure.
we love that. And
When I was
artists, yeah,
when I was working at Mass Appeal, I'd always tell people like graffiti is a combination of two of my favorite things, like art and, you know, crime. And by crime, I mean like fuck
yeah,
the rules, you know? Like
exactly.
so
Yeah,
very
and
cool.
it's all about fuck the rules. Exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly it.
Do you still feel that way? Are you still trying to find kind of like-minded people and people that are like rebels and disobeying the rules? Like where are you at right now?
I am. I mean, I'm always looking, you know, for something, for the new thing to go and photograph, and you know, and working with musicians. I actually, I'm in a kind of collective for Jose James, a jazz artist, has started his own label with Talia, his wife, and
Cool.
I'm their designated photographer, so I get to photograph all their artists, which is really cool. And you know, they're rebels. They're starting something, you know, small, just like the little labels, the hip hop, just like Def Jam was a small little label.
Yep. Yep.
You know, I'm still always looking for things. I was actually in this COVID time, I actually rode my bike across the Williamsburg Bridge one day, just, you know, for something to do. And there's a really scruffy little park at the bottom of the bridge in
Yep.
Brooklyn. And I was just sitting there on my own. I actually had my camera, and there's just a bunch of skateboarders there,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
scruffy skateboarders, and they're just trying, you know, there's a lot of like little steps and things, and they're trying. I just started taking pictures. It's almost like an instinct, like I can't stop.
Yeah.
I can't help myself. And I end up talking to them, and you know, we're talking about cameras, and I end up talking to the kid who's doing the video, and he's got some crazy analog video thing he's doing. And it's
Oh, cool.
cool, you know, I think it's just a thing. I don't know. It's, you know what it's like. It's compulsive. That's
Oh
my
yeah.
compulsion.
It's very compulsive and it's hard to stop, really.
Yeah.
It really is. Do you have a favorite project that you've done throughout your career? A favorite kind of longer term project, open-ended project?
Well, you know, the mashup was an incredible project. It took
Yeah.
4 years, and that was really amazing and very special because it was a collaboration between 30 artists and my photos. So that was really great. I love that. And, you know, I guess I've got a lot of projects. And recently I started doing zines.
Oh,
And
cool.
yeah. And I'm learning InDesign, by the
Oh,
way.
good, good.
Yep. And, you know, there's these little books that this company in England's doing called Cafe Royal. And
Yeah.
they're really sweet and not expensive.
Did you design it too?
They have a design.
Okay,
Everyone looks the same.
that's
It's an
great.
incredible thing. The guy's called Cafe Royal, and
Yeah.
oh, I have to say something about this too. And
Um,
their MO is, you know, they reached out to me and said, "Do you want to do a book?" And I was like, "Sure." You know, I mean, it's a zine, and they make 250 of them, so it's a
wow.
limited edition. They don't pay you, but they give you 50 copies, and you
Okay.
can, which to me is great. And I think people collect these things like crazy. He does, you know, he'll do like 2 or 3 a month, and he's
Yeah.
been doing it for years. So he's got some amazing photographers. But I have to say something to you guys about this. So this dude here,
Yeah.
due to the heaven of social media and Instagram, I posted this when this book came out,
Yeah.
and this woman emails me going, "Hey, Janette, I saw your little book on Instagram. That's my dad."
Oh my God.
So I know, it's so crazy. So I end up getting this whole conversation. I sent her a book. I made a print for him. And I took this picture at the Sid Vicious Memorial March when
Oh my
Sid died.
God.
And I hadn't looked at it. It was like, you know, you're scanning, rescanning stuff from the
Yeah.
archive. And he's never seen it because I just had been there, took a picture, and
Yeah.
then left, you know, as one of, I don't know how many rolls of film I did that day. And that's like the coolest thing about Instagram is making connections. And,
Hell yeah.
you know, it's a beautiful thing.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Somebody's asking where they can get it, and Cafe Royale does have a Instagram site, and I believe that you can buy them straight off the link on their Instagram
Yes,
site. But
absolutely. Yeah.
I'm in the process of posting all of these videos to YouTube, and they're gonna be launched on
Fabulous.
Monday. So yours will go up
Wow.
too, and I'm gonna put together a little blog to go with it. And
How
on the blog, we'll
awesome.
have some of the photos that all the photographers discuss, but I'll also make sure and promote everything with links to like where people can buy the zines and,
Wow.
obviously the charity, that the God's
Cool.
Love We Deliver auction that's going on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So actually, come to think of it, the blog might take a minute, so they'll probably get up on Tuesday. But yeah, so all those links will be there
Perfect.
for anyone.
Angela, you really rock. This is so amazing. It's so nice to talk to you.
Oh, thank
And
you. Yeah, I
yeah,
appreciate it. Yeah,
well,
so it's been a while, so I don't want to take your whole day. We'll wind down. Is there anything else that you want to promote or anything else that you want to share?
you know, what else do I got here? I think that's pretty good, you know. I mean, hmm. No, I think that's good. I think, you know, the little books are good. And, you know, I really want people to all check out this God's Love thing because right now we're all, you know, going through this crazy thing in these
Yeah,
crazy times. And it feels really good to be trying to do something for other
yeah,
people and also connecting to the photo community, which is like a huge thing. And between
totally.
Julie Graham and I, we know a lot of people.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's been a really amazing experience contacting people, and everybody has stepped up. Be it, you know,
Yeah,
legends and B plus is in it, of course, and you know,
he's great.
yes. I mean, we've got
Yeah.
so many good photos, so I really want you guys to all go check it out. Just even to go look at the images because it's a huge mishmash of all sorts of musicians, and it's like for the love of music. It's like, you know, it couldn't be a better thing to keep busy during these times, I have to
Yeah.
say.
I'm really honored to be a part of it. So thank you so much for thinking
You
of
were our
me.
first one. Well, you
Yay!
and Charlie Ahern, who has a great picture of
Well,
Grandmaster Flash and Debbie Harry, which
that's
is
pretty
also
good
good.
company.
Yes, yes.
Oh man. So, okay, cool. So one last question. Do you have a favorite photo of yours? And I would imagine it's pretty hard to pick one. So is there one that comes
Um,
to mind?
well, okay, let's reach over. Sorry. Reaching, reaching if I don't fall off the chair.
What now? Ian Fromm. Okay. Oh, when somebody
Uh,
asked a question about Ian Fromm, the invert, it says Ian Fromm invert skateboard photo.
and Oh, wow. Oh, that's so amazing. Right. The guy doing the, is it called an invert? Yeah, I think it is called that.
Apparently.
That's, that's a funny question. That's a good question, actually. Well, what happened was a long time ago, I was working for a Sunday paper in New York, and they had a magazine, and I went to cover the skateboard contest, which was out under the Brooklyn Bridge.
Brooklyn
And I
Banks.
Yes, exactly. And I was photographing everybody, and I took a picture of this one guy doing an invert, and I didn't know what it was, but basically, I wish I had it to hand, but I don't. But it's a hand plant, is that how you said? He's got his hand on the ground, his feet are in the air, and the skateboard is on his feet in the air. It's a pretty crazy, and he's got a hat on. He looks unbelievable. He's like the coolest. I think he's wearing pink Converse. He just looks amazing. And it ran as a page in the Sunday magazine, and that was really cool for me. And years later, IKEA comes to me and
What?
they want to use this picture as a campaign. You know, I guess if you can do this, you can shop at IKEA. I don't know what the angle was going to be. And I could not find this guy. I had not taken his name. I looked everywhere. I went to every single skateboard shop in the greater New York area. Nobody knew. It's like, this dude is really a cool dude, man. He's so cool. And I'm like, yeah, he is. Do you know who he is? Nobody knew who he was. So basically, I couldn't get the IKEA job. And, well,
Oh,
because you need a model
yeah,
release.
no, of course.
And
I just thought the story was going to be that you found him and then it worked
no,
out or something.
recently I randomly put it up on Instagram, and lo and behold, somebody comes
Yeah.
along and goes, that's my friend Ian, and he's da 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 da. It's like, wow, that's incredible. I mean, and if you're listening right now, you know, I'm happy to make a print and send it to you. It's like the coolest picture.
I think
Okay.
he said he's actually the one that got you the name, the person that's asking the
Yes,
question.
that's the guy. I
So
know. Well,
reach out to Jeanette.
let's find, yeah, reach out to me and like DM me on the gram, and let's try and get Ian a picture if he's, you know, if he's around. And as far as my favorite picture I ever took,
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. One of them is definitely this.
Oh, wow.
Run
Yeah.
DMC and Posse.
It's so crazy because that's shot in really mixed lighting, which is like kind of a pain in the ass for a photographer, but if you can do it, it looks incredible, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, I can tell quickly the story of that because that was commissioned by the Face magazine, and I was already living in New York. It was 1984, and I
Wow.
didn't know who Run DMC was. They weren't famous.
Yeah.
1984. And the Face called me from England. They say, well, here's a phone number. And it turned out to be Jam Master Jay's mom's house.
Okay.
So I call up and I was like, oh, hi, blah, blah, blah. I'm an English photographer. And so Jay gets on the phone. He's like, oh, okay, meet me next week, you know, next Tuesday at the Hollis train station. So I go out there with my Hasselblad on the train on my own, you know, a couple of
Yep.
backs loaded,
Yep.
Tri-X,
Right.
just for the photo nerds. And, you know, and we meet and he just walks me down the road to the street that they live on. And there's these guys just literally standing there. I mean, literally just hanging out. And I was like, just get a little closer. It seemed like such a perfect picture to me. And it's that dappled sunlight,
Yeah.
which I didn't even really think at the time what a nightmare it was going to be to print, but that's another
Oh
story that
no,
we could
yeah.
talk about. You can imagine the dodging.
Yes.
But I took this picture, and it maybe, you know, on 120, you've got 12 shots on a roll, and, you know, maybe I took, I don't know, 4 rolls of film that day, 5 maybe.
Yeah.
And this picture, I just knew when I took it. You know, sometimes do you ever have this feeling where it's like,
Yes. Yes.
that physical feeling where like the hair standing up on the back of your head, like,
Yep.
oh, I got
Like right when
this.
you snap it, right? Like you just get
Yes,
that. Yes, I've had that many
it's
times. Yeah.
it's really a strange feeling.
Yes.
It's indescribable, but I think it might be one of the favorite pictures because it's Run DMC. They weren't famous. It's
Yeah.
just a completely relaxed hangout photo. And, you know, what they're wearing. You know, they've got Adidas, Kangol, Gazelles. They
No
look so
stylist.
cool. No stylist, no hair, no makeup, no art directors, no assistant. It's just me and them.
Yeah.
And it's that capturing moment in time that you know.
Yeah. It's a gone era. It's like
Yes.
people don't come that way anymore.
I
It doesn't
think
really always work like that anymore, unfortunately.
no, and I think so many people, due to selfies. And
Yeah.
I'll admit, I had to buy a selfie stick to kind of figure out how to do this right now, and I never
Oh,
wanted one. Well, I've got to get, I wanted the thing that held the phone
yeah,
which comes
yeah.
at the end
Oh,
of the selfie stick. But,
yeah.
people are so self-aware of the way they look
I
now,
know.
and they have to look perfect, and everything has to be right, and they've got their selfie faces and all of this stuff. You're never going to get a relaxed picture like this. It's
No.
almost like erasing history in a way.
It is, and I feel like every layer you add, stylist, hair, makeup, whatever it is, and not to discount the hard work that those people do because
No,
they do work hard and do brilliant things.
totally.
But there is, in particular with like a hip hop group, let's say, maybe not. Other photo situations are different, but you do lose a bit of that. Every layer that's added on, you lose a bit of that authenticity, and like in particular with musicians.
Totally.
For sure, and for someone, coming up in the early 90s, there were still musicians that I was able to photograph like that, where they just arrived wearing what they were wearing. But it was still really different. And they were definitely the smaller groups. Like, they weren't quite as styled. The 90s was different. They were kind of like, there was so much decadence in the 80s that lent itself
Right.
to so much incredible style. It's just different. It's so different. And I wonder how things are going to plan out now, now with COVID. And it's just, it's going to be interesting to see how that affects
Yep.
music. Because frankly, there's a
Totally.
lot of musicians that are enjoying some isolation right now. And we know that music requires isolation to kind of crystallize into its form, into like a
Yeah.
cocoon, like a butterfly with a cocoon. It needs to crystallize in isolation before it's birthed to the world. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen.
That's a great way of looking at it. But I feel bad for musicians because they make money playing gigs. That's
That's
how
true.
musicians make money now. And it's, obviously we're not going to be doing that for a little while. But, you
Yeah.
know, well, I
It's
mean,
loss.
yeah, now's the time for all of us, art people to be digging in our archives and bringing out
Yep.
treasures. I think that's, I don't know, that's what I'm doing mostly now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I really appreciate you give us so much time, so I really appreciate it. And I'm going to let you know when everything hits YouTube. And yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much. It was a real honor to be able to do this.
No, my
Thank
honor.
you.
I'm like Angela. I mean, you are the coolest, and I'm
Oh,
glad to
thank you.
have you in our posse of photographers. You're the best. So
Oh, I'm
thank
so
you so much
honored.
for having me. We're all honored and
Yes,
probably blessed and all the rest of it. But
all of it.
yeah,
All of
but
it.
we good. We good. All
Cool. Well, have
right.
a really great evening in New York, and we'll talk soon. And thanks again. It was so
Thank
much fun.
you. It was awesome. All
Cool.
right.
Okay,
Bye,
bye.
everyone. Thank you for
Bye.
tuning in, all of you, by the way.
Yes.
Respect, love.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I have to have.